All right, episode 3 is Thursday. African American African. I'm Slap Turner,
And I'm Chloe.
and in the end of our last episode, we were just talking about how you viewed, if you've experienced racism and how you viewed African Americans before coming here. And what did you define after getting here?
Well, the first time I experienced racism wasn't here, it was in South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would be sitting in a subway train, and if the only seat available was next to me, people would prefer to stand as opposed to sit next to me. Or if I sat down, somebody would just get up and stuff like that. And clearly it was because of the color of my skin. And when I kept talking to other people, they said that at the time, I think it's changed, but at the time, they were saying that if a Korean was mixed with either white or anything else, they wouldn't be part of the community. So, I mean, I'm not sure, that's hearsay, but I can only speak for what I felt. Um, I was experiencing, which was being treated different because of the color of my skin.
Mm.
Yeah, and I didn't experience it. I didn't experience that until I left home. At home, it was you would be treated different because of your status, your educational level, or just if you decided to not be a part of the community. It wasn't because of how you looked. It's just your character defined you,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much.
And how did you feel you were treated by the black community once you came to America?
I don't know, really. I mean, some.
Did you feel different or anything like that?
Oh yeah, of course. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the one thing I remember very clearly was someone asking me, "Why do you speak so proper?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, "What do you mean proper? I'm speaking English, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know. It just
Yeah,
wasn't the same.
that must be just a black thing because I had gotten that growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that made it even kind of tougher for me growing up in the neighborhoods that I grew up in because well, first of all, I didn't finish school at that time. I
Uh-huh.
came back later, so I left school really early. I left home really early, went and hung out at the streets. But before I left school, my favorite subject in school just happened to be English. So,
Uh-huh.
and then my stepfather
Mm-hmm.
would be, I think that was something that he liked as well. So he would correct my pronunciation of things
Mm-hmm.
for the correct way to say things. So I took that with me to the streets, and that doesn't that doesn't translate very well.
Right.
When someone's talking about it's just getting worse and worse, and you're
Oh
like,
boy.
it's just getting worse. It ain't there's no worser. And then it's like, nigga, who is you? So yeah, I don't know. That's a weird thing. I feel like there's a lot of there's a lot of mess with that there, for us to believe that talking properly is some form of, being, I don't know what was actually being compared to,
Yeah.
just being, you weren't down because it was white, I think, or something to act intelligent.
But here's the thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I didn't even learn how to speak English from anybody who's white. All
Mm-hmm.
my teachers were black,
Mm-hmm.
besides some nuns who were Indian, actually East Indian,
Mm-hmm.
because I was in a Catholic school.
Mm.
So for that to be compared to white, that was just ridiculous to me. But having said that, you haven't told me or us or the viewers, or wait, not viewers, they are listening. um,
The audience.
the audience, what you thought about Africans. before you met me or came to visit? Came to Kenya to visit?
Honestly, I don't think I had a view. I don't have a view that I can remember. You know, I remember, you know, like the movie Boys in the Hood, where they had the part where dude was in school, and you know he was trying to tell him that he came from Africa, and everybody else, the other kid is like, I'm not no African booty scratcher or something like that. It was like a disrespectful thing to be. So that was supposed to depict our views on Africa. And I can't recall ever feeling that way. I don't think I've ever. I do remember that we did have an African friend when I was growing up in the street. I cannot remember the dude's name. And just like anybody else, we would joke with him, but he was a really tall, lanky, dark dude. I want to say he was from Nigeria, but I don't know. I can't remember. And I don't remember his name, but I want to say Abubala, because I had this joke, and I think it might have came from Eddie Murphy or something. I don't know. But anyway, he was a cool cat, and he hung with us on the street, and I don't know whatever happened to him or whatnot. But yeah, I just don't recall having those type of views. And when I finally went to Africa and experienced it myself in Kenya, that was a feeling that I'd never experienced. It was very warm, and you know, it felt like a spiritual experience for me, because I've never been anywhere where everybody was the same skin tone.
Right.
You know, out here, I mean, I've been to hoods and stuff like that, but still, I've been to all sections. You know, my stepfather, as I mentioned, before he came along in my life, we always lived in different black neighborhoods. You know, I lived all over the place in the Bay Area, from Oakland, San Francisco, down to L.A. to South Central, Inglewood, and you know, all of that, Hollywood, Pasadena, a lot of that. We moved around a lot, you know. And so I didn't really start experiencing white neighborhoods until, you know, I got a little older. And then we moved to the suburbs and stuff like that. And then from there I went to the streets. But I just don't recall ever being anywhere, even in the neighborhoods, where it was all black. You know, but in the places where I were predominantly black, it was just felt normal, I guess, you know. But being out in Africa and having everything, everyone, you know, be the same skin tone, look the same, and it was just really something. And I remember when we went to your family's house out in the mountains, and like your whole, well, not everybody, but the majority of your family, there was tons of people.
It's a big family.
Yeah, it was tons of people. It was like I just all came to get together just because I was there.
Well, I was there too. But yeah, I mean, it was more like welcome home, welcome back home, and welcome home for you. Yeah,
that's what a lot of people kept saying, welcome home.
Yeah, I mean, it is home.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, clearly all of us know that, you know, most African Americans are from somewhere. And like I said before, I think it was episode 1 when I was saying that, you know, I can say Kenya because that's where people will know.
They just made that name like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, in a grand scheme of things, yes, because we've been in existence for a very, very, very long time. And this happened after I don't even it was like a struggle for Africa. Like they were dividing Africa up in the the colonialists, and then they decided, oh, we're gonna call this Kenya. So,
Wasn't it after one of the presidents, Kenyatta?
No, that was the very first president of Kenya.
Oh. He just happened to be named Kenyatta.
Well, Jomo is his name.
Oh.
And so what my granddad told me, that Mount Kenya is, in Kikuyu, is Kirinyaga. And then there's another dialect that is very close to Kikuyu. They are called Kambas. They say Kenya. Like Kirinyaga, Kenya. So when the white folks came, they asked, what's the name of that mountain? And they were told Kirinyaga, Kenya. So they said Kenya. And so they went and decided that area around that mountain is going to be called Kenya. And I was like, why would they even say that? And then Nairobi, which is the capital city, apparently is Maasai originally. That means the land of lots of waters, because what the Maasai do, they have cattle. That's how that's their wealth. And so they don't have any demarcation saying this is where you live or this is your area.
And I have lineage to Maasai.
Yeah,
to Maasai.
That's why I was saying.
That's why I love water too. And I'm Pisces. It's a damn.
Nothing about all that. But the water thing is because they follow the water because the animals need to eat. So when it rains, and Nairobi is close to the mountains, so it's always gonna be nice and green, and there's gonna be food for and grazing for the animals, so they would come out there. And so the Kikuyu and the Maasai have a long history going back hundreds of years that I'm not gonna get into right now. But yeah, I also have Maasai because my great grandma was Maasai. Yeah.
So we probably fourth and fifth cousins.
Nah. You are mostly Nigerians, which is the other thing, actually. Everybody that I've met and they hear my accent around here, especially the black folk, they're like, hey, you Nigerian?
That's the only African people.
I know. And then they ask me, do you speak African? What is African? And then there's that thing about, I speak American. There's nothing like American. It's English.
Yeah.
And then, like when you try to correct me and I'm like,
yeah,
no.
When you're saying things wrong, like vitamin.
Okay,
and
listen to the
vitamin.
English people say vitamin.
Them English people ain't over here.
But you're speaking English, right? It's their language.
No.
How are you going to correct them?
Whatever. It's a pill. It's got some stuff in it that make you feel good.
Yeah, go to England and try and correct them and say, hey, your
I'll
English
let them know.
is wrong.
You guys are saying that shit all wrong. It's vitamin, man.
No, it's vitamin.
Okay. All right.
But anyway, back to, you said you didn't have any...
I want to know if anybody that's listening has been abroad, over to Kenya and what their experiences were.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be Kenya, anywhere in Africa.
Well, yeah, but I'm asking specifically about Kenya first.
Oh, okay.
You can be anywhere too, also.
Right.
But that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. And I mean, we can talk a little bit about the cultural differences, but, it's going to have to be something that's requested because, like I said, I haven't said it yet, but there's about 45 different communities with different traditions and different ways of lives in Kenya alone.
Well, I know when we was out there, we did that. We went to that show, the blanket carpet, whatever was that?
Oh, wine
and blanket.
Blankets and wine.
Blankets and wine. That was dope. That shit was dope. That was like being at an American concert, really. And they had wine around and hookah. And I knew right then and there I didn't ever want to leave Kenya.
Lots of alcohol.
Yeah.
Or you bring your blanket and it's a concert.